G'day guys, Aaron here from Shooting Stuff Australia, and I am joined with Jason from the Australian Hunting Podcast.
What's going on, mate?
Oh, not much. Just been a bit of working and waiting for the weather to clear to get out and do some shooting. Just damn hot up here in Queensland.
Better you than me, mate. I'm glad it's a bit cooler down here. It's actually been pretty warm today, but a lot of rain, which is good, for the farmers and water supply and stuff. So, wish we could go out and do a bit of shooting, but weather's been pretty shit for it. So,
we had the bushfires not far from me. Then we had all the rains and floods. My sheds got flooded. Now it's just so humid and muggy. If I'm not out there by 8 o'clock in the morning, 7, 8 o'clock, and it's all over.
Yeah, no, it's terrible weather at the moment.
Yeah, it is. So today's topic is the historic win by Armoured against the New South Wales Police. They absolutely destroyed the police in the court case and won. So you actually interviewed Brad about the whole situation a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So people that don't remember, that was quite popular. Did a podcast with Brad Towner from Armoured. He runs a retailer on selling gel blasters. Now, he'd probably been doing that for about 10 years. He was selling gel blasters. And for people that don't know, he had several visits by police. He had a store in Western Sydney, Parramatta. The police came. It was never an issue. At one stage, he was running it from Newcastle out of his parents' garage. The registry came down there. It was never a problem. And there were multiple checks throughout the years, and it was never, ever a problem. All of a sudden, after about 10 years, he relocated his business to just near the Blue Mountains here in New South Wales, near Penrith. And he had like an industrial unit. One day, 5 or 6 cops show up. They chuck on all these charges. I think there was about 36 charges put on him with another 30 points on those specific charges. So I think it was about, what was it, Aaron? I think it was about 67 or close to thereabouts.
66 charges and all. And before we carry on, for our overseas viewers, this is a gel blaster. So a very cheap, flimsy plastic toy. So if you can't figure this out as a kiddie's toy, you got something wrong with you. So it fires little gel balls that you soak in water for 24 hours and they just bounce off you, and then they dehydrate and you literally can't even find them on the floor, sort of thing. So here's another one. They're extremely unreliable. This one broke in the first week. So
there's no way you're going to be able to convert this plastic toy into a real firearm.
Anything. It's run by electric motors. As you can see that, I don't know if you can see that, a little motor inside. Just like if you pick that for a real gun, you got rocks in your head. You literally do. Either you're just a vindictive little prick, or you're just absolutely stupid. It's that simple. Yeah. There's nothing remotely like a firearm.
Aaron, in that. In New South Wales, they want to ban gel blasters, but I can own a 50 caliber rifle, and it's absolutely no problem. So I can own a real rifle, yet I can't own a toy which shoots little gel balls that kids from probably starting at 5 years of age, maybe even younger, probably 5 years and up, they're running around in their backyard, shooting each other for a bit of fun.
Well, when you get the box says ages from 5 or 7 upwards. Now, if that doesn't scream a little children's plastic toy, I don't know what is. I just don't get it. So they took this poor young guy to court pretty much in the intent to ruin his life. I don't care what anyone says. They just awful people, if you ask me, to ruin someone's life, financially crippled him over some plastic toys. It's just absolute. But the thing is, he's been doing this legally for years, and all of a sudden, done. Several visits by the cops, didn't he? And then all of a sudden, the next visit was, no, you're done,
This is over. Don't forget, he was there for 10 years. And, if people want to go back and listen to it, they can go to the website, go to my website, australianhuntingpodcast.com.au, and just type in Armoured Heaven in the search box. And you can listen to the entire show. And I interviewed him, Brad Towner, the owner of Armoured Heaven, and his lawyer, Michael Korn, who was originally a friend of Brad's. And, when you're actually there interviewing him, you don't realize that, we're talking, unlicensed firearms, unregistered firearms, possessing pistols without a license and just all these bogus charges against the guy. And when you're there, let's not forget the $140,000 he spent to defend himself over toys, major financial hardship, and this is all in the show as well, lost his wife, a private situation of, relationships breaking down, getting a divorce. I mean, as you said just a bit earlier, they basically just ruined this guy's life, for no reason whatsoever. An up-and-coming young businessman wanting to sell gel blasters for 10 years, which is what he'd been doing, and it was never an issue. And let's not forget the most serious part. If he'd had been found guilty of this charge, not only the severe jail time that he could, have imposed on him, it's the firearms prohibition order that's equally as bad, if not insidious, because a firearms prohibition order, also called an FPO, they can come and search your property anytime. If you're working, 2 a.m. in the morning, if you're on holiday somewhere, they can just come anywhere, anytime, without a warrant and search your persons, car, business, whatever it is, anytime they like. I mean, imagine that you're at work and they come and try and do something at work in the car park, 10 or 15 police officers searching your vehicle. I mean, imagine the negative connotations to your workplace when your, colleagues are looking out the window seeing 10 or 15 police, at your premises looking and searching your vehicle. I mean, this is why, again, I keep saying to people that we should be working together with the police, arm in arm, targeting criminals. That's what we should be doing, targeting criminals. Exactly. They should be targeting things like rape, pedophilia, all these drugs, all these other issues, instead of attacking a guy that has gel blasters.
But Jason, that's all too hard. That's all too hard for them. It's easier to find guys with who's got a shop front selling children's toys and is going out finding a murderer.
Yeah, so, it's just really sad about, you think, that maybe another option, if they were going to try and ban them, which obviously me and you don't support that because they're just a toy, but why not go at it a different angle? Why just start charging people? This is the problem. When me and you have spoken about this on a number of occasions, never forget the state, meaning the government, has ample and unlimited amount of resources and funds to bankrupt you. This is a young guy with his whole life ahead of him.
They win by bankruptcy on most cases. Yeah. Look at when you interview.
And there's no limit to how much money they can throw at a particular case. And don't forget, this case was put back and put back and put back for almost 2 years because they knew the case was absolutely bogus. I mean, the average shooter, the average community member knows these aren't firearms. But getting onto the case, as you want to talk about a bit as well, obviously he won the case, which is what we all knew was going to happen. I mean, over what, 60, as you said, 66 charges all up with all the counts involved with that, and a jury in less than 26 minutes. I mean, even Brad, I remember watching his video, he said he was kind of not sure if he was scared or he was happy knowing they were coming back so quickly with a verdict. It could have been good, it could have been bad. But 12 normal jurors, normal people like me and you, working class people, decided in less than 26 minutes that gel blaster toys are in fact that, toys. Yet seriously trained, professional, educated police officers, even at the tired top brass, still continue to push this, thinking this is some type of firearm. And it just goes to show the average community know the difference. I don't think it's an issue, but in the meantime, Brad's had to spend $140,000 defending himself, and luckily came out victorious, represented by Michael Corn and his dad from Corn and McDougall and Associates. So if you ever get into this issue and you get charged with having a gel blaster, then certainly call Corn and McDougall and Associates. Get them to represent you. They made a good case, and that was accepted by the jury. But what's even better, Aaron, just a few days ago, discuss how even after this landmark win, that precedent would have been set in regards to gel blasters, someone else in New South Wales gets again charged with having a gel blaster. So now the police are either willfully, partaking in corrupt activities, knowing full well the average community knows these are not firearms. So they're either being deceitful, willfully deceitful, or they're just stupid. Combination of all of the above. I don't know.
I think it is a combination of all the above. One thing, while I was bringing this up, this article, One thing I just don't understand is, the police forces are on the world stage. They all know about each other around the world. And I've talked to people through the show, police officers in other countries that love the reviews and guns that I show from Australia. And they've talked about this sort of stuff, and they know exactly what's happening with the New South Wales Police, and they regard it a complete and utter joke around the world trying to ban guns. They're laughed at, but it's like they don't care. They just don't care about their public image. It's like they got a beef to grind with the everyday taxpayer, and let's try and screw them where we can. It's just like, it just seems like vindictive stuff against normal citizens. But biggest thing is they just don't care that they look like complete and utter fools taking people to court over kids' toys. But another thing, wouldn't it be funny to be a fly on the wall after the police officers afterwards? Oh, we
when
lost
it was actually
majorly.
Prosecuted and Brad actually won, fair enough. I mean, you could probably assume, maybe some information hasn't come down from the top. That would be, really need to be statewide, advising all police officers and their headquarters not to charge people with having gel blasters. But I think there was a guy in Queensland. I just saw it on one of the Facebook posts the other day. He's one from the gel blaster, one of the associations anyway. And what he did is he actually he rang all the police stations in Queensland to ask them what their opinion was on gel blasters. And I think he ran about 15 or 20 police stations, all coming up with different ideas on what gel blasters. Some people saying, no problem, just a toy. Some people saying completely banned in Queensland, better dispose of it so you don't get charged. And there were huge amounts of extremes about what different police stations were saying. And you guys know in Queensland, you guys had a good win in court in regards to gel blasters, but as we know right now, there's another inquiry into gel blasters again. And like I keep telling people, if you're in New South Wales at the moment, I probably wouldn't be in possession of a gel blaster. I mean, I've never owned one, so I'd have to worry about that, but I wouldn't be in possession until at such time we find out what's happening with gel blasters. But we know it's on appearance laws, replica firearms. I mean, it's all just stupid and ridiculous. The average 12 in the courtroom came out in 26 minutes and said not guilty to every single charge.
Exactly.
If that doesn't tell the DPP and the police something, I don't know what does. But the thing is, the DPP need to prosecute cases on a weekly or daily and weekly basis to sort of keep their job. So when you have the endless amounts of New South Wales taxpayer funds at your disposal to bankrupt a young, innocent businessman who'd been in business for 10 years is just pathetic. It really is.
That's their entire premises. Look at when you interviewed Don Burt about the self-defence, clear self-defence, but they dragged that poor old guy through absolute hell for 2 years. And he lost everything as well financially, the poor bugger. And he defended his life against an attacker. They just don't care. They just literally don't give a shit about you or me. It's just all about them. What they don't like, you can't like it. So too bad. You can't have it if they don't like it. As I was saying, imagine being a fly on the wall in the office after they lost this. Hundreds of thousands of dollars we spent to try and nail a poor guy with our kids' toys, and we still lost all that taxpayer.
I mean, don't forget, in court, you're probably, looking at, several $100,000. And I know Brad had a few, didn't pay the entire amount of what he gave, because he knew that his lawyer and stuff like that. So they gave him a bit of a better rate, which is, fantastic. It was for a good cause as well. But I mean, he's still well over $140,000 out of his pocket. I mean, that's life-changing for people. I don't think it's going to make any difference. I think, I agree. I wonder what the fly on the wall, what people were doing. But how can, honestly, I mean, if I was the top brass, I'd be saying I want answers as to why this case was so quickly decided. And if you don't have a good enough answer for me, a lot of people are going to start getting fired. You know what I mean? Because we can't just keep wasting taxpayer. Because at the end of the day, don't forget the police, and also, when they're trying cases, it is costing money. So it is a cost to the actual government and their bottom line as well. And who wants to see people continually waste money? But I don't think it's going to make any difference in New South Wales. I don't think any information will trickle down. I think they'll just keep charging people. The poor saps that don't have any money, that can't defend themselves, will plead guilty. And again, it's just another firearms rap sheet for the police because they love firearms rap sheets. It does well for their, their professional career, and they can move up.
Yep. Well, he even said that most guys are being told just to plead guilty and get a small fine or something if you get caught with these. That's what they're telling them. They said, do you want to spend $100,000 or just plead guilty now, and you'll just get a reduced sentence. That's what the cops are telling them. It's just. It's the whole thing just it's really mind-boggling.
But what do you do, Aaron, in that situation if you don't have $100,000, $140,000? The only way is to represent yourself, and you're coming up against. Don't forget the DPP, the public prosecutor, professionals. You're coming up against ballistic experts and stuff like that. Who affords that stuff, man? The average person just cannot afford that.
Yeah, and you got to represent yourself. You'd just be absolutely dumbfounded. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know where to even start, would you? I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know what to say. It's just ridiculous. These guys have got to remember we're paying their wages. They're meant to be working for us. They are meant to be keeping us safe. And I feel totally and utterly safe in Queensland having a children's toy like this in everybody's hand. I don't feel I'm safe by it. So, and I'm sure people in New South Wales feel the same. But the problem is, it's been happening up here. You get all these nannies. Because remember, guys, we've had it rammed down our throat for 23 years now. Guns are bad, guns are bad, guns are bad. The police and their training, guns are bad, guns are bad. So it's just, if you keep telling the same bullshit lie, it just sinks in eventually and they believe it. So people have been phoning up, seeing people with these toys in their backyards, having a bit of fun. And there's been numerous times that SWAT teams are being called just by idiot neighbours. I don't know if it's to take the piss or if it's just, they don't get on, or who knows. But the last one, they had like 20 SWAT teams surrounding this house. There was 2 young guys on the front lawn behind the fence playing with them. And they're like in their 20s, doing nothing wrong. And the neighbours called up and said, there's people on the front lawn shooting each other. Well, I'm pretty sure guns make a noise. These don't make a noise. It's just like a little electronic engine going. So how do you actually come to that conclusion?
And some people are making the case, well, they are toys, so why would our, pro-gun parties and organisations, why would they go into bat, for Brad Towner or any person charged with, that type of offence? But also on the flip side, the New South Wales Police and the Registry have put out information and fact sheets saying, well, these are in fact imitation firearms. But, like we just saw just recently, a massive case, from Brad Towner, 26 minutes, not guilty to every single charge. That just goes to show that the average community member, working class people like you and me, know absolutely that they were, even before they probably got out of the court case, they were walking into the back room to deliberate. I've been part of a jury on a 3-week case about probably 2 to 3 years ago, so I know exactly how it works. And to come up with even took us about probably 3 or 4 hours, and I think most of us were pretty adamant. So for 26 minutes...
That was a murder charge, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, no, that was a manslaughter charge in a traffic accident for a person that was under the influence of all types of drugs and alcohol and fled the scene of a motor vehicle accident after ploughing through a red light and hitting someone in those little small Toyota Yaris's, which, you won't survive anything in a Toyota Yaris, and we spent about probably 2 or 3 hours and then half an hour the next morning before coming to a decision. That was fairly quick. So for 26 minutes, they must have been adamant as soon as they'd walked out of there, yep, let's get this done. They make the call to the bailiff, and then she goes, yep, she notifies the judge, and then you're back in there. So 26 minutes, you wouldn't even have time to sort of, sit down and even really discuss it. Not guilty, ring up the bailiff, get the judge, yep, everyone gets into the courtroom. That takes about 10 minutes. Bang, not guilty, done.
Well, he did say, even during the trial, from the first get-go, the jury were... You could see the cops were trumping it all up like, these are machine guns, these are assault rifles, these are everything bad. And you can see the jury think, oh, Jesus, what are they going to show us? Then they pulled out the toys. And there was even science fiction toy guns. And in your interview, you said that Brad was saying, the cops were saying, oh, well, here's a fantasy assault rifle. a fantasy thing from a video game. And that's how dumb they were trying to. That is just going out of their way to try and pin you. A fantasy assault rifle from a computer game, from Halo, I think it was.
Yeah,
And
I mean, what's next? Super soakers. Remember the super soakers from our young age?
yeah, Nerf guns.
Nerf guns. Well, I mean, what's next? I mean, again, I'd like to see, police just lay off. But okay, they might confiscate the gel blaster. I mean, I wouldn't accept that. But at the end of the day, it's better than, why not just confiscate them at this stage until some sort of decision can be made, on a legislative level. But we see this shift, over more towards, again, more taking away more guns. And I've said this to you before, and it may be a bit of a hysteria type thing, but I've only got to go off what we've been seeing over the last couple of years. I mean, if we have shooting sports in 10 to 15, probably 15 years, I'd honestly be quite surprised. I think farmers will probably still have guns, but the average citizen probably won't. Or if we do, it'll be very, very minimal. I mean, you've seen all the gun bans we've had, Riverman, Adler, straight pulls, Savage A22R, like they're trying to do now in the Northern Territory, but apparently got overturned. We'll see what happens with that. It's a shift away from, any guns really, which is something we need to fight hard against. But again, no one's even contacted Brad. I've spoken to before from any of the pro-gun parties. I know one party in particular were very, very positive and did a lot of shout-outs for Brad. That was the Liberal Democrats, but I'm not sure of any others. He said there wasn't any. So
I haven't seen anything. But then again, like up here, we all know the shooting organisations are just completely useless. Up here, they're not regarded firearms, so no, they can just carry on doing what they always do. Absolutely nothing, just raping in the cash cow. So up here you can understand because they're not firearms, but down in New South Wales, hey, they're calling them firearms. Why not say, hey, knock this shit on the head? Don't bring this up. This is a waste of time and money. At least have a voice, even if it's a letter, for God's sake, or working behind the scenes.
But this is the problem. They don't have any from the organisations to the political parties, even the pro-gun ones. None of them want to get involved with it, and the pro-gun ones don't have any power. They can't stop anything. They can't do anything. They can't get legislation over the line. They can't, I mean, as you know, we both do. We both vote for pro-gun parties, but, we're also not under the illusion even the ones we vote for can even achieve anything, which we know that's the case because we've seen that in the last 23 years since Port Arthur. We've seen that. There's been no changes to the NFA. And I get people on my page, Aaron, I know you get this too. They're saying, we need to keep what we have. We need to secure our current rights that we've got now. And I'm like, but we haven't been doing that. I mean, we had the Riverman OAF ban, in Queensland, the Wedge Tail Industries little pistol, which they were trying to say was a firearm. We've had the Adler. We've had the Savage A22R.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I'm putting money on from everything I hear in the industry. There's going to be more this year coming. They're going to try and go different angles. And we all know that they've had their eyes on lever action for years now. Everyone goes, no one will touch a lever action. Hey, they touched the Adler. That's a lever action.
Yeah, and you knew about the Berica as well. You were talking to the importer from Berica, and they had to, luckily this time, which is mind you, has never happened that I've ever seen, they've actually allowed a modification of an existing firearm to be made compliant. I don't think I've really seen that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone listening, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's a regular thing that a full platform was allowed to be changed to meet the required standards.
Well, I reckon there's two sides to that one. I reckon one is the owner went level-headed to the federal police or border force and said, how can I sort this out? I will pay for this out of my own pocket. I will look after the people who've brought these guns, and I will pay. You tell me what you want, and I'll pay for it all, and I'll do it. And the other side, I think, like no one said this to me, but this other side is my theory, is that they classified that as a Category A gun. They said you could sell it, and there was thousands of these on the production line as they were talking about this. And there was 50 that had been sold already, so they'd said it's all okay. And there was a backlog and back orders of like 2,000 of these things being made, and they probably realised, Jesus, we're going to have to pay for this stuff. because we've told him it's okay, and he's gone ahead and built these out of his own money.
Okay.
So they probably realise, oh, geez, this is going to cost us money. We know there's nothing wrong with these. We're just being total and utter pricks that we are. But no, this is actually going to cost us a lot of money if we just don't go along with what they said. I could be totally wrong, but that's
What actually
sort of makes sense to me.
What surprised me too was when I put up just about the court case before Brad, about a couple of days before he was coming down to Sydney to take part in the case. I put a thing up, good luck, Brad from Armoured Heaven. And I was quite surprised actually at the amount. There wasn't many of them. There were probably maybe 5% of the shooters that commented on that particular thread, saying, oh, these are firearms, these are replica firearms, and yada, yada, yada. Well, I'm sorry. That's proven, and these people are shooters, mind you. They wouldn't be on our page if they weren't shooters. And again, sorry, you've found out to be wrong, because the average person on that jury, 12 of them, unanimously found that it's a toy, and these charges are absolutely bogus. So I'm hoping, New South Wales Police, which I don't think they have because they never do, have learned a valuable lesson, not to waste taxpayer monies on frivolous, ridiculous cases, and to actually go out and do some real crime fighting. And, the police reputation, they're really just not doing themselves any favours by the things they want to charge people on. I mean, the things we've dealt with the last couple of years have been, we've seen like some of the cases they're putting forward on, someone helping out a self-defense person only to be charged at a later date. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But good that Brad got off, and hopefully this is a test case for any future charges for gel blasters in New South Wales.
Exactly. So we'll just round this up soon. But what happened? I'll read this document from Border Force. Now, this only happened a few days after Brad's case. So you can find this. I'll pause this video. I'll bring this up so you can actually read this. It's quite comical. But I'll just give you a little bit of a heads up the basis of it. So a couple of days later, a 33-year-old man from Sydney is in court in the possession of 34 imitation firearms on Tuesday, the February.
Well, isn't a Nerf gun like an imitation firearm? Like as in, like
it's painted different colours. Yeah. So this gets better. It gets better. They attended a business in Rosevale to issue an infringement in relation to prohibited importation of 71 imitation firearms, namely gel blasters. And they've got a picture here of them, and they look like plastic toys. While attending the premises, the officers found the man in possession of another 34 gel blasters. Most of them replicated military-style assault rifles and machine guns. Okay? So the police...
That's the thing. We just found that not to be true in Brad Towner's case. It's just not true.
Exactly. So the police obviously have arrested him, and it just goes on about sort of like covering their asses, just a bit of legal crap about it.
Well, hopefully, Brad, go see Corn and McDougall solicitors and take them to court and win that case as well. Set another precedent.
And here's something interesting, just down at the bottom. Some gel blasters are controlled as imitation firearms under the Customs Prohibited Imports Regulations, 1956. Now, gel blasters didn't exist in 1956. We had those little potato spud guns that are actually banned as well. Because I do know of a toy importer down in Victoria. He bought like 10,000 of these little spud guns. I remember as I was a kid, almost 50. And we used to have them. You push them into a potato and pop. So he brought these in, mint in the box, landed at customs, got seized. They ripped a couple of the boxes open, so they're worth nothing. They're worth thousands of dollars each one because they're mint condition. The last of these things, they're a collectible toy. They deemed it a pistol. You had to go get they said, you've got to go get a pistol license, and you've got to stamp serial numbers on every single one of these spud guns. How pathetic is that? That's just what this country has come to. But here's something else. It says it is illegal to import these items without a permit and anyone attempting to can face a $525,000 fine, or up
Yeah,
to
but a
10 years in
permit's obviously
prison.
easy to get because we know Brad Towner moved his business to Queensland, where
Yeah,
Queensland have semi-realised somewhat that it's a toy. But
yeah,
they also have an inquiry going again at the moment on what
exactly.
trying to. They didn't like the result they got the first time in court, which was yes, these are toys. So they're
Yeah,
trying again with some type of inquiry into gel blasters, no doubt trying to go down the New South Wales path. But good result for
exactly.
Brad Towner from Armoured Heaven. I'm really happy for him. I
Oh,
really am. I
yeah,
know this was a
yeah.
very trying time. All the
Oh,
issues that he had financially, personally, relationship breakdowns, marriage breakdown, things like that. It's just absolutely horrible. But he's bounced back. You watched his video, mate. The guy was just ecstatic, mate. Well done.
oh, yeah,
Congratulations, Brad Towner.
yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, he did a really good job. I'm so pleased for the guy. It is a fantastic thing. I wouldn't wish this on anyone, this sort of crap
I mean,
at
this can
all.
be, depending on what age, this can be, life changing. Who's got 140K? I don't want to spend
Mm,
140K on this crap to defend myself against a bureaucracy with endless amounts of funds to bankrupt you. So, but anyway, we'll
mm,
finish off, mate. Very
yeah,
good for the
definitely.
first one, talking about gel blasters. And
Yes, and guys, we are both on Patreon. So if you like this sort of stuff and you like Jason's podcast, you can go to Patreon for Australian Hunting Podcast or Shooting Stuff Australia. And of course, you're watching this on my YouTube channel. Jason's got a YouTube channel as well. And definitely take a look at Jason's podcast. There's some great interviews there with people all over the world in the shooting community. So thanks a lot for watching this, guys. And we did try and keep this down to 15 minutes, but it's been 34 minutes. So, yep. So tell us if you like these sort of things. We're planning on making more. So just put your comments down below us and tell us what you think of this. And we got a ton of stuff to talk about.
if we
And
try and do it next time, we might just, make, if we have one topic, we'll try and keep
yeah,
it to 15 minutes. That's our plan for the future. But,
yeah,
it's a bit of a test so far. So we'll just see.
yeah. I don't think that's going to really work because you get both of us talking, we can't shut up. And but we've got some great topics to talk about and opposing opinions on a lot of stuff as well, especially different firearms and calibers, which could be some good some good listening as well. So guys, thanks for everything, and we'll see you on the next one.